Non mi Gesù.
Hello, boys and girls out in internet land. I hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I was last with you. Since that time, I've begun to grow back my mustache, and although I haven't been with you on a Jesus trip, we have been very busy, and you'll find out about all the wonderful things we've been doing and planning at the announcements at the end of this video. But this week, what I want to talk about is a question that many people often ask us about. They ask us about rewards, especially in light of the finished work of the cross. And one of the things we do is we're traveling all over the world. Just tomorrow, I'm taking off to New Zealand and Australia, and I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, and we're just going. And the thing is, people ask, aren't you burnt out when you're traveling all the time and doing all this ministry and seeing all these people? But the thing is, I get jacked up on it. There's something about just the bliss of His presence flowing through me. I love it. I've got all this divine energy. And the scriptures, they do talk quite a bit about rewards. And so what's this whole deal with working and rewards? Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we all get the same reward. He is our reward. He is the pearl of great price, and we are His pearl of great price. You see, as we do things, as we do these good works or whatever it is we're doing in life in the name of the Lord, we are actually participating in the unpackaging of that reward. We're not buying that reward, but we are literally in the participation and enjoyment of that reward. And you see, it's not that we don't work, but there's a massive difference between works for righteousness and works of righteousness. And for so long, religion has blurred the lines that we have to make a sharp and a clear distinction. You see, we're not doing anything to add to our salvation, to better ourselves, to perfect ourselves, to grow in the anointing or climb up some kind of unseen ladder. But you see, we do work. And you see, the work, this outflow, this outworking of the Holy Ghost in our life has benefits in and of itself. There's joy and reward in the labor, in the activity itself. It's not a toiling, not a striving labor, but it's a labor of love. You see, the problem is, for so long we have divorced work from play. And I believe that this is a fundamental issue with the fall of mankind. You see, in the garden, Adam is tending the garden of pleasure. Eden means pleasure. So how would you like that for your job? Your job is to tend the garden of pleasure. Adam worked, but he loved his job. He's like Jungle Jim. He's swinging along the ropes, telling fruit trees to grow, and just, we know that he spoke into creation. He names the animals. There's something about Adam understanding his authority, his divine authority over the natural realm, over creation. There was no sweat on his brow. There was no toil. There was no striving among the thorns and the thistles. That all came after the fall. For Adam, his job was pleasure. Pleasure was his job. There was no distinction, no differentiation. I believe that it was after the fall that we saw a splitting apart between work and pleasure. Now, what men do is they work in order to buy time over here to play. And they go over here to play in order to escape their work. But in the gospel, our work and our play are reconciled. They become one and the same thing. See, some people, they understand that we're called to pleasure, but they need a work ethic. And other people, they understand that we are called to good works, but they don't get the pleasure part of it. And so these guys don't realize they need a vacation. You see, the gospel brings a balance. We're created for good works, but in His good pleasure. And the thing is, if you don't have good, healthy, meaningful work, studies show that if you're just laying on the couch for more than 2 months, you start to go psychologically crazy. You start to go nuts. I mean, we are made to do things. We're created to tend a garden of pleasure. And so here's the thing. Rewards are not about us striving or any performance orientation. You see, when we get to heaven, we're not working for rewards in a sense that, somebody's going to do really well over here and somebody's not going to do really well over there. You see, when you get to heaven, there's not going to be any regret. There's going to be no comparison in heaven. That's not even the atmosphere of heaven, okay? The issue is, let's not waste our lives. Let's be world changers. The Apostle Paul, he wasn't preaching works, he was preaching grace. He was the grace apostle, but he still outworked all the other guys. He had something about his motives were in the right place. Now, my motives, when I began to understand grace, they didn't suddenly change from working to avoid punishment to all of a sudden working to achieve rewards, as in those rewards being in addition to Christ, okay? I'm not working so that I can get a gold-plated Maserati in heaven or diamond-plated Italian leather underwear in heaven, okay? No, my understanding of reward has become intrinsically connected to my participation in the person of Christ and my union with the person of Christ. We are not adding to the work of Jesus in a sense of getting rewards that way. It is His power and it's His good pleasure flowing through you and working through you so mightily anyways. So ultimately, really, your part to play is nothing, but therefore, your part is everything, because it's no longer you who live, so there's no you to add to the puzzle. Your entire life is Christ living through you. He has come, He has exchanged His life for yours, and now He's the one who opens doors, and He gives us desire and unction and power to receive and to do things. You see, some people, after they hear the message of grace, sometimes they actually get afraid to do things because they've been so bound up in religion, they don't want to now offend grace. And so they're afraid to do anything. But you see, you have to understand that grace is the divine influence upon man that makes him want to run, makes him want to, just go and blow the doors out and do all kinds of crazy stuff. You see, our motivation for doing good things is not for fear of retribution, but there's reward and joy in the journey. That's why we do things. That's why we give. Sowing and reaping, for instance, is in the new covenant. Paul talks about sowing and reaping all the time. Some grace people try to throw sowing and reaping out. It's because they misunderstand it. They're still looking at it through a legalistic lens. You see, sowing and reaping was always a gift for us. It's like the loosest slot in Vegas. If there was a slot machine in Vegas that always worked, you would throw everything you had into it. You would go nuts. You would go buck wild. The earth, the ground, the planet Earth understands. Even though Christians don't believe in it, the earth understands that sowing and reaping is a principle. It's a gift for us. You put something in, boom, it grows. We are created to be fruitful. We are created to multiply. You see, it's Him working through us. I admit that there is something to this that comes by maturity, okay? Not that we all aren't perfect in Him, but we do grow in our understanding and our revelation and our manifestation of that perfection, okay? And so we're growing in, people are trying to figure out what's Him, what's me. We are learning how to operate in rest. You see, sometimes people will work too hard and they burn out. And then sometimes other people, they lay on the couch and they wonder why things don't happen by magic, because they start to get this understanding of rest. The thing is, there's times when God does have you running really hard, but there's still life and pleasure in the midst of it. To those on the outside, they don't know how you do it. They're looking at the externals, but they don't see that there's rest in the eye of the storm. At other times, you're doing nothing externally. Maybe you're laying on the couch, but you're still worn out and you're weary on the inside, no matter how much you try to rest outwardly. See, true rest comes not by a physical act, but by trust, which is faith, a heart at rest. And that faith produces amazing works because it inspires us. It gives us life, and the joy of the Lord becomes our strength. Okay, so give up on your navel gazing. If you're always asking, what's God, what's me? You're afraid to do this because that might be just me, or you want to do something over here, but you're afraid. Okay, look, there's a place where you can throw aside your super spirituality and stop asking God whether to tie your left shoe before the right. Okay, just tie your shoes. And yet there's other times when you are capable of accomplishing things, but you know you don't have peace, and the presence of God just doesn't allow you to do things. And you do just wait on the Lord, okay? So that's where the maturity comes. It's a growing and a sensitivity to the Lord so that we're operating out of rest, even though we may be doing lots of stuff, high energy, high octane stuff. Sometimes, also, you have to understand, we're motivated by pleasure. And sometimes there's no immediate pleasure in an individual task. You may not like to get up at 6 a.m. for work, but you're still doing it for the joy of the paycheck laid before you. Okay, pleasure is still always ultimately our motive. So the reason we avoid laziness in life is not out of fear of a divine taskmaster. We avoid laziness because we're just created for good works, and we long to be satisfied and to satisfy others with the fruit of our hands that are inspired by God. The wise men who build up an inheritance for their children's children. As we learn to walk in the Spirit, growing in our trust of the finished work of the cross, our motivation changes as we grow. And you see, when some people first encounter grace, it's like they hit a wall because they realize everything they'd been doing was out of their own nervous tension and their own sense of self-preservation and dead works, okay? But as we grow in grace, we start to find this delight and this satisfaction in life itself, and we want to produce, we want to multiply, and that's a holy thing. That's a holy desire. You're made for success. That's a God-given thing, okay? I've always said God is not looking for workers. He's looking for lovers. But the paradox is that the lovers are actually going to outwork the workers. The grace of God will begin to infuse us and equip us and enlighten us so that we can do that which is beyond ordinary human possibility. We begin to find satisfaction in the simplicity of life. You know, some people, they become paralyzed with these false aspirations and delusions of grandeur. And you see, there's something deeply spiritual about starting small and putting your hand to something and finding the reward in the person of Christ even within that task. You see, that's why for centuries monks have gotten jacked up on planting gardens and milking cows and doing mundane things. It's not just about becoming a rock star or a Hollywood actor or the president of the United States. We find joy and fulfillment in God, our reward, right in the midst of wherever we're at. So the glory of His presence brings a deep contentment in the midst of our journey. And we don't forfeit our dreams, but in fact we find pleasure even in the mundane preparation for those dreams. Okay, preparation time is never wasted time. If you want to be an astronaut, go to school and stay jacked up on Jesus while you're studying. Okay, put your hand to something and be jacked up in the midst of it. It's those who enjoy themselves in the midst of the preparations who ultimately find success in life. It's the guy who actually enjoys making the music in his garage because he enjoys the music in and of itself for what it is. He's the guy who really becomes the greatest musician. The guy who's just doing it to get to some kind of end, what he sees as a reward, to just become famous. He's the guy who becomes the dweeb and the poser, not the real musician. Okay, the real musician has the love of it, the craving of it. He does it just for the sake of what it is. It ceases to be art otherwise. And though he gains everything, he's lost his true reward. Although he gains the whole world, he's lost his soul. So our rewards are both inward and they are outward, but they are ultimately a participation in the life of God, both now and forevermore. It's not about our sweat, but it's about the faith that inspires you. And as we're faithful in the little, much is added. And reward is something that happens supernaturally and exponentially. Sensitivity to God in those little things, stewarding those little things, that opens massive doors that we could never accomplish on our own, because ultimately He is our guide. He is our guru. He is the good steward flowing through us. God bless you guys, and hope you're all having a wonderful week.
We have a lot of exciting announcements to catch you up on this week. Starting next month, we'll be bringing another children's home for orphans online in the nation of India. That's right, we recently doubled the size of our home in Mumbai, but we're now taking on a second home on the other side of the country. With your support, we'll be rescuing up to 17 more kids from abject poverty, providing food, shelter, education and hope. This holiday season, don't forget the poor. We really value your partnership with us to help make this happen.
Eyes can't see the way you hold me, or how I'm hidden in your heart. Minds don't know all you told me, or how I ache for where you are. It's invisible to the world, incredible to the ages. Nonsense heeded, have they seen this side? Everlasting life, you are all over, you are all around, you are inside. This is life.
And that's not all. Visit us online for lots of new goodies at thenewmystics.com. We've just finished a massive website relaunch where you can find updated articles and fun events that haven't yet been published elsewhere. We've also relaunched our entire Inner Sanctum format at thenewmystics.tv. This is our interactive monthly web broadcast where John Crowder connects live with members for fresh teaching and regular question and answer sessions. To date, we now have up to 40 hours of archived teaching video for members, the most comprehensive resource available for our online material. If you've ever considered signing up, visit thenewmystics.tv today and check out our all-new user-friendly system. And now's the time to prepare for our new lineup of mystical schools. John will be in Alaska at the start of the new year. He's coming right in the middle of winter, so all you sourdoughs can kick your seasonal affective disorder and cheer up with a deep plunge into extreme grace. Only a few more weeks to sign up. Visit thenewmystics.com/Alaska for more info. And those of you in Middle America, start the new year off right with a visit to Branson, Missouri for our only trip to the Ozarks this year. Visit www.thenewmystics.com/Branson. Online registration is required and space is limited. John will be in Colorado coming up in February. Visit thenewmystics.com/Colorado. Then it's off to our only stop on the South Island, to Christchurch, New Zealand. Visit thenewmystics.com/Christchurch. And for all you crazy glory junkies in Northern California, be sure to catch John's one and only ministry event in California for the entire year. He'll be in Chico, California in March. Why are we announcing something in March? Because our Chico school always packs out. We encourage you to register early. Student discounts are available. And finally, if you're looking for just the right Christmas gift for that special someone, consider taking the spouse or the whole family on a trip with us. Be a vacationary or a missionary. We have our Maui, Hawaii Mystical School coming up this spring. Make a vacation out of it. Or join us on the mission trip of a lifetime as John Crowder, Dave Vaughan and Benjamin Dunn join forces for the Great India Adventure. This could be their craziest trip to date. Next September, they're off to Hyderabad, India to minister to lepers, prostitutes, orphans and preparing a wild feast for the poor in the garbage dumps. We expect this to fill up really fast, so visit us online and sign up today.
Oh